In classrooms across Oregon, Proficiency is producing unprecedented levels of student achievement. The early results were so impressive that the Oregon Education Roundtable in 2009 published a white paper concluding that proficiency was the one practice, if taken to scale, statewide, could do the most at the least cost to transform student achievement. Well, time has proven that they are right. So what is proficiency, and how does a proficiency classroom differ from perhaps a traditional classroom? First, a clarification is an order you're probably familiar with, as you have on the agenda, credit by proficiency, and that was how it did begin in 2002 for credit at the high school level. It has now moved, K-12, so when we talk about proficiency practice, it truly encompasses the entire K-12 system. The definition that is used is sufficient evidence of student-demonstrated knowledge and skills that meet or exceed defined levels of performance. A student is proficient, and they must demonstrate all the knowledge and skills in a given standard. So in a traditional classroom, the standards are not always transparent. In a proficiency classroom, learning targets, these standards are based on state and national Common Core state standards, and they're explicitly shared and understood by each student. In a traditional classroom, besides assessment testing, many times the grade also includes points for attitude, behavior, extra credit, homework, and attendance. In a proficiency classroom, students are graded in advance solely on demonstrated mastery in the standards. Grades reflect only what the students know and can do. In a traditional class rate, the mandate of time puts undue pressure on our teachers to move on to the next chapter, to the end of the semester test, or the next grade, even if students haven't mastered the standards. So in a proficiency classroom, learning is the constant and time is a variable. Students have as much time as they need to learn and demonstrate the required concepts. Interventions prevent student failure. A proficiency model is really equity-based. Student learning is highly personalized. In a sense, each student has an individualized educational plan. Students who struggle and slip behind receive high-quality interventions with teachers and support specialists. And students who quickly reach mastery are challenged to take on more advanced learning, either through their teacher or but even by moving on to another class. So bottom line, the students who need help to master the concept get it, and those who have mastered it move on to higher levels or to another class. My kids kind of explain, well, Mom, that sounds just like a video game. You have to, before you can move on to the next level, you have to be able to learn those pieces, at your current level. So the kids get it, and they understand it really quickly.
You represented Fagan.
Well, first off, thank you for this presentation, and I wanted to note how appropriate it is that you're doing this presentation on a day that we have the Boy Scouts with us, because as I learned from them this morning, you don't get a badge for knot tying unless you know how to tie 6 knots. So you don't just get a badge because, is that right, guys? 6? So you don't just get the badge for, having done the time. You have to actually learn how to tie the knots. So that just seemed kind of appropriate.